All the Halo pros do these things, so should you? Let's find out.
Yeah, I heard Poppy outside.
So a question that I get asked a lot is, hey, I see a lot of Halo pros do these things, so should I be doing them also? Well, the short answer is yes. Yes, you should. With the understanding that there is somewhat of a skill gap between some of the things that are included on this list. That first thing being movement. Now, with Halo Infinite being the most fast-paced Halo game to date, the movement mechanics are imperative in my opinion. Understanding how to navigate from point A to point B while taking as little damage as possible is key. I mean, you guys see how a lot of these pros and higher level Onyx players move about the map? I mean, it's insane. The movement in this Halo has gotten to the point to where you can long slide your way across half the map just by sprinting off a ledge, which I do have a video on how to effectively do the long slide, which I will link down in the description below, so definitely go and check that out. But pros put a major emphasis on their movement, which is why when you watch their gameplay, it seems like they're playing a totally different game than what you are. So from a pro's perspective, next to overall game knowledge, movement will be a must learn. Now this next one I definitely know a lot of people don't think about in the moment, and that is staying calm, cool, and collected. Now this is pretty obvious, and I think I can speak for most people when I say we definitely aren't playing our best when we're raging out, because raging out can easily impair our judgment and at times will affect our mechanical skills. And this is where a lot of the experience aspect comes into play with pros, because it's a been there done that kind of moment. Knowing how to control your emotions in high pressure situations can typically be the difference in how the overall outcome of a game will play out. And you got to think about it, when it comes to Halo, you kind of have to have short-term memory. You can't dwell on things that happened 3 kills ago, so your best bet is to focus up and play for the next play. Now raise your hand if you actually focus on mastering your strengths whilst improving on your weaknesses at the same time. I'm pretty sure that there are not a lot of hands up, but a lot of professional players, if they're smart, will acknowledge their weaknesses and improve upon them. Majority of players are aware of what their strengths are and they tend to capitalize on them. But always remember that mastering your strengths makes you a good player, but actually being able to identify your weak points and convert them into strengths will make you a great player. For instance, your strengths may be having a great BR, but you lack proper movement mechanics. Your strengths will always be your strengths, just as long as you don't abandon them. But just make sure that you commit to implementing some extra time into improving those weaknesses. Now I know for a fact that in real life there are not a lot of people who plan ahead, so that probably means there are even fewer people who plan ahead in video games, because planning ahead is staying one step ahead. Always be planning for your next play, which goes back to a similar point that I made about having game awareness. For example, if you notice, a lot of pro and higher ranked players never play for the current kill. They never allow themselves to have tunnel vision for what's directly in front of them. How many times have you gotten a kill and then immediately after got third party? Way too many times to count, I'm pretty sure. This is why having an understanding of what's going on around you is so important. Putting yourself in a position to get the enemy to do the things that you want them to do is how you set yourself up for success. Now, whilst planning ahead is important, that does not come without a little bit of improvising on the fly. Now, we're all familiar with that wow factor, like when we see a pro make a crazy impossible play and we're just stuck there with our jaws in our laps like, how the hell did they even do that? Well, a lot of that is pure unadulterated skill, don't get it twisted, but them having the ability to improvise on the fly and making it seem like it was a well-calculated play when in reality they didn't plan on it turning out that way, things just kind of happen. But like they say, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So I'm going to take my statement and turn it into a question, because this is easily the most commonly asked question in FPS gaming history, and that is, how do I find the right sensitivity settings? I know a lot of people out there watch live streams, and one of the most common questions I always see people ask pros is, what is your sensitivity? Most of them always have a command that people can type in the chat to where you can see what sense they're rocking, but typically their answers are always the same, and I do tend to agree with them. They always say, don't copy my sense because my sense may not work for you. Instead, use it as a baseline and just adjust it from there based on your comfortability. Now, as you guys know, everyone uses different equipment so far as their controllers, thumbsticks, and even mouse and keyboard if that's your preference. So as far as is there a perfect sensitivity out there that is universal for everyone, there's no such thing. It'll obviously take some time to make these micro adjustments to all of your settings, but once you find that sweet spot, you'll be clicking on heads in no time. Trust me. I don't know who you think you are, but you should definitely be warming up before you jump into a match. I swear to you, this piece of advice is so underrated. I know for a fact that a lot of people think that pros just wake up, get out of bed, go straight to their desk, grab their controller, and start on kids. Okay, on second thought, maybe they do. But for the most part, they do warm up on most occasions, simply because it just gets the blood flowing and initiates that muscle memory that we all develop over time. Especially if you've been gone a few days without playing, I highly suggest you do this, or you will potentially become one of those kids that the pros roll out of bed and shit on. Oh, kind of forgot to bleep there. Oops.
I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice.
We're talking about practice, guys. Unlike the clip of my guy Allen Iverson, practice is indeed important. Any professional player in just about any competitive setting will tell you that the way you practice will always translate to how you play in the game. You got to put the time in. Pros will put in countless hours of practice behind the scenes. They'll sit there and work on every element of their game, repetition after repetition, until they're able to do these things unconsciously. It's really as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. The more you do something, the better at it you get. Hopefully these helpful hints gave you guys a better understanding of why Halo pros do the things that they do and pretty much how they think. So if you enjoyed this content, definitely make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure you leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought about the things that I listed. I would love to hear from you guys. But until next time, I will see you in the next one.